I want to tell you about a conversation I had while I was in an elevator today. So this morning I was out running some errands, and I happened to be downtown in a building that had an elevator. It was a tall building that had an elevator. So I got on the first floor. Three other gentlemen got in on the first floor who happened to be black as well. And they all knew each other. So they were talking to each other. When we go up, we get to like the third or fourth floor, and then another guy gets on who happens to be a white guy. You know, he hops in the elevator, and a couple, people actually like speak a little bit back and forth, like some, friendly, generic chatter. You know, hey, how you doing? And oh, it's hot, blah 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 blah. Just normal stuff, nothing deep. Well, this guy, the white guy, he gets off on the floor in that building, right outside. When the elevator doors open, they have this model display where it's like a spaceship, and it's all this. There's like police cars and stuff, like models that somebody built. And it's like, wow, this is interesting. So, all of us, at this point, it was just all of us, the black people. We were all wondering, oh, what is on this floor? So the one guy sticks his head out. Mind you, holding up the elevator. But he sticks his head out, and he's looking around on the floor to try to figure out what's on the floor. And then he says, oh, that's some police stuff. Yeah, that's some kind of police floor. So then he says, he said, oh, I'm not messing with that. So he sticks his head back in the elevator, and we start going up to the floor we were going to. And then the guy says, yeah, I bet you that guy was scared. I bet you that white guy was terrified. And then somebody said, well, why? One of his coworkers or friends or whatever. They was like, well, why? He's like, come on, man. He's like, 4 big black dudes, and he's just one white dude, and he got off on the police floor? Oh man! So one of the guys, one guy, there was 3 of them. One guy didn't really say much in response to him. The other guy clearly disagreed with him. He didn't think that made sense to make that assumption. But he didn't really say much about it, at least right then and there. But I said, well, that's not right. I don't agree with that. That's kind of inappropriate. And he said, why? I said, well, you can't just look at the color of someone's skin and just assume. You can't assume that he's just afraid of black people and he's stereotyping, that he's going to stereotype us when he gets in the elevator. I said, and since we had limited time, I tried to use the best example I could think of, which was Bernie Sanders. I said, think about Bernie Sanders. I said, certain people were opposed to him simply because he was a white male, not realizing that he actually, in his younger days, actually literally participated in the civil rights movement, advocating for blacks. So we didn't have much time to really, really get into it. And they eventually ended up asking me, well, and then the guy says, oh, I like Bernie Sanders. That's not really the point. The whole point is, if you like Bernie Sanders, you should know how silly it is to generalize and stereotype people like that. Because he breaks the stereotype that you just said. He's literally violates it. So he's like, well, who are you for? I said, I'm a Trump supporter. And then, of course, that didn't go over very well. But he was very respectful about it. I'm like, I wasn't at first, but I actually am now. And that's true. Like, I actually wasn't a Trump supporter. I used to think that he was a racist. I don't know. I just thought he was just racist and wild and all of that stuff. I still think he's still clearly wild, and he's probably a bit of a narcissist. But, I actually now am... I am now actually a Trump supporter. But this video isn't about that. I got videos on my channel that explain why that is. But it stuck with me all day about this guy making these assumptions. Because it's like, when you make assumptions like that about people, you can cause problems where there is no problem. So let's say, for whatever reason, let's say they bumped each other by accident in the elevator. Sometimes mistakes happen, or the elevator can be crowded. Suppose that the guy bumped him, and because he's assuming, oh, this guy he's prejudicing against black people, so he's trying to cause problems. And he could take extra offense to that, more offense than necessary, and actually cause a problem that wasn't there, meaning it was genuinely an accident. Obviously, it's always a possibility that when someone does something that they genuinely are trying to provoke you or be disrespectful, regardless of race. That's always a possibility. But if you constantly assume the worst, then you're going to escalate an incident where there possibly was none, almost all the time. And I just wanted to say, it's like I said, it just stuck with me all day. And here's the thing: if it's okay for you to stereotype white people or Caucasian is the same thing, whites, Mexicans, whatever. If it's okay for you to stereotype people like that, then it's okay for them to stereotype your race. You can't get mad if they do it if you're literally doing the same thing. Now think how many problems are caused by when people believe that the cops stereotype black people, particularly young black males. Think of all the problems that y'all think come from there. So if you believe that it's detrimental to your race or to your people, why would you perpetuate it to other people? And this is something that I'm starting to believe more and more. People don't want racism to end. They don't want prejudices to end. They just simply don't. They want the ones that are against them to end, and they want to hold on to theirs, and they think it's okay. Now, I'm not saying that about the guy in the elevator. I literally don't even know him. We just talked for a few moments. This is a general statement I have about a lot of people because I see them arguing against certain prejudices and being okay with others, or at the very least, not speaking out against others. And if you want to eradicate that kind of thing, you have to be consistent. You have to. So I just wanted to talk about that experience I had today. And like I said, it's been on my mind all day, just thinking about the implications. Like, there are implications to the thoughts that you entertain. There are implications to the assumptions that you apply to other people. And if it's okay for you to have certain implications, which actually it is, it's your right as a human being to think however way you want. But if it's okay for you to have certain prejudices and assumptions about people based on their skin color or their region, God, these bugs are killing me. If it's okay for you, then it's actually okay for others as well. And you can't complain about other people doing it. They have the same right as you, don't they? Everyone's equal, right? So if that's your right to have that opinion and feel strongly about it and live your life accordingly, then it's okay for the Klan. It's okay for anti-Jews, anti-gays, all of that. It's okay for them to do the same thing if it's okay for you to do it just because you feel strongly about it. And I just wish more people understood the danger of being led by your feelings and appealing to your feelings as your authority or like that, as something that gives you permission to act a certain way.